Welcome to the Book Bonk Podcast. I'm Chilly.
And I'm Ray.
Today on this episode, we're going to be going over chapters 25, 26, 27, and 28 of Fourth Wing.
Yippee!
Yippee! And so that's kind of, it's a heavy hitter of a chapter section.
A clump of chapters.
That works, a clump. But yeah, so I guess just to get us started off with is chapter 25. As I try to read my notes with my blurry vision, we get the squad battles starting up for 25. In which case, they kind of have a little breakdown of different events and how they're doing. And they're all cheering on Liam to win and racing. I think it was dragon racing?
Were they dragon?
Were they dragon fighting? I don't remember. I know they were actually battling on the mat, and then there was something with dragons because Violet kept falling off her dragon, and it's like, this is a competition, Violet, let him just keep you on. But she kept just being like, no, and falling off, slowing them down.
I do think I missed that because I remember them battling on the mat, but I don't remember them getting on their dragons yet.
Oh, I think it was just a quick mention, and I just wrote it down because Violet's just falling off her dragon and making them slower on their time. And I was like, Violet, this is a competition for your whole team, and you're
and you're doing poorly.
Yes. I'm not even competitive, but I'm just like, Violet, it's okay. You can just accept
the help.
Exactly. But yeah, because Liam wins and they jump to third place in the squad battles for the mat sparring. And then, then there was the flying. And then their final task, which they're all change of plans or spontaneous or whatever it was, all secretive, whatever kind of thing. And they're like, we want you to steal something, something that the enemies would find important.
Yeah, bring it back. But if you attempt to bring back a dragon, basically don't, because you won't survive because they will incinerate you out of pure annoyance.
Also, how would you fit a dragon in the room?
I mean, if you we're for ours, we're gonna take a quick detour outside, and then you're voila, dragon. But also the odds of the dragon staying there slim to none. So
yeah, because you essentially would have to restrain or something the dragon, and they're not gonna cooperate.
Yeah, they will not be a fan.
You know they had to specify that because they're all meatheads. Somebody would do it.
Yeah.
What on earth was Dane doing that he pissed me off? Because I wrote squad leader Dane is failing at low-key at being a squad leader.
I think he was just being himself.
Wouldn't surprise me. He does that throughout a lot of these chapters, but I'm just like, Dane, I thought you were a squad leader. Why aren't you acting like it?
A solid Dane, I thought you were better than this moment.
Exactly. Like, Dane, you're supposed to be better than this. And he's not.
He never is. I hate that man.
He doesn't deserve a beard. Get rid of his beard.
Yeah, how dare he experience the wonder that is beard.
But yeah, so then, of course, they go up into, huddle up in a room. And they have to figure out who's... Because Dane and... I think Zayden as well, the wing leaders, are all, banished away. They're not allowed to help or anything. So you have the squads themselves go huddle up and figure out a plan of what they want to steal, and they're bouncing around ideas. And so that was a funny moment because then you have Violet have a light bulb go off her brain, and everyone's like, tell us. And Violet's like, I don't know. It might be crazy. And they're like, go for it.
They're like, at least tell us.
Oh, it was also interesting to see who ended up as a leader in the group.
Yeah, didn't it turn out to be Imogen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you had Keaton and his starts name Emery, I think.
Yeah.
They're the third years in the group, and they're like, nah, we good.
Yeah.
I whoever, because Imogen starts yapping at them to move, and then you have Heater and Sawyer start hurdling everyone away. While they were bouncing around ideas, you had Riddick, who couldn't be serious for any of his ideas.
Yeah, but also Fork found a kitchen for him.
Riddick being ridiculous?
Yeah, he's not known for being, serious.
anything that's, like not class clown.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think this is also where we get a lot of their signets revealed because Violet's formulating the plan of how to steal from her mom, which I don't think anyone other squad would be able to pull off stealing from her mom, nor do I think any of them are 100% gutsy enough to do it.
Yeah.
Like, they're all meathead stupid to some degree, or really smart and have their own gutsiness, but I'm not certain any of them are gutsy enough to risk being yelled at by the head.
Yeah, pretty much.
And Violet's like, sounds like a normal Tuesday to me. I'm not wrong. She gets yelled at by her mom to some degree a lot.
Yeah, she really does. For someone who doesn't have, like, any sort of real, like, consistent interaction with her mom, every interaction she has, it's just her mom being like, why are you the way that you are? Do better.
Really? That does sum up, like, every interaction we've had so far up to date. Ugh. But yeah, so it was interesting because her plan was that to steal from it. And so they had to wait until it got dark enough and that her mom would be gone from the room to steal. So they ended up on a very tight time frame to do this.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here I wrote it down. They had like essentially 3 hours to do the task and they spent 2 hours of it just waiting.
Yeah, I noticed this time that it was like 2 hours later they were finally on their way. I was like, why did y'all wait 2 hours?
Just for it to get darker.
Which, I mean, like, I guess makes sense. But, like, I don't know. It seems inconvenient. Because also, like, whenever I first thought about this, I thought it was, like, a 2 hour, like, time frame that they had to complete this. So, I want to know what their, like, time limit was for it. Because,
3 hours.
okay, it was 3 hours.
That's what I have written down. The task was 3 hours.
Okay.
And then also it's after 7 o'clock because they couldn't do anything with the archives because they close at 7 p.m. So I'm thinking that means that their time limit was 10 p.m.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So they're like, essentially they waited till like 9 p.m. to go and raid the general's office.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense time-wise, because I was trying to make a sort of timeline in my head, and I was like, okay, so they got this, but they waited for 2 hours, and then they went, and I'm like, everyone else's stuff was probably relatively quick. So I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, 'cause I think they were huddling when they were heading out to the general's office on their way out. I think they saw some groups like trying to sneak in their stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, because of the nature of this, they like last second pull in. Like I want to say it was like literally like the last minute before they would have been disqualified. They pull in back in the room with the map.
Okay, I was like, I knew that they were, like, rushing towards the end, and at that point I was like, well, why didn't you leave earlier? But if they were waiting until it got a certain level of darkness so that they didn't get caught, even though they still basically got caught, like...
Oh, full on, the guards saw them and they went just for like, be on guard. And they're like, okay, we knocked him out. We'll just kind of shift. Actually, I think they knocked out 2 guards and they kind of shifted them over a little and then they ran.
Yeah, like, that's pretty much exactly what happened. And I'm like, if I don't see a, a time of this where there would only be, like, 2 guards that they come across and they didn't, like, yell for more. Like, this would have been a bigger deal.
Yeah, I feel, yeah, it was something. Also, it was interesting when they revealed what they stole, how everyone reacted. Did you find that interesting at all?
Yeah, I feel like looking at it as them being like, I understand their sort of hesitancy because I'm sure not all of them were given the, I don't know if I want to say privilege, but the opportunity to go into General Sorrengail's office. So I understand where their hesitancy comes from, in which they're like, well, how do we know that it's most updated? How do we know this? How do we know that? But also, like, you think that they're gonna hang out there for about 2 hours and then they're gonna just go, I don't know, pull this out of their ass and, like, make it?
Yeah. Or like stole it from somebody else's, I guess, office, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I feel like it'd be very obvious. The question of authenticity was interesting, but then also when it was confirmed that it was hers, I thought it was interesting because then all the professors were like, "Oh shoot! Oh shoot! Oh shoot!" And
Yeah.
then all the students like rioting. I'm like, "What the hell?
Yeah.
It's a map, y'all. Chill." You know, it's not like y'all's the enemy. Why are y'all freaking out?
Yeah.
It's just, as far as I was aware, it was just maps of up to date battles and where like the troops and everything are, which is, as I explained, super important to the enemy. This is all your own like team. Why are all the like? Why is the entire frat like? The way it was just described was like rioting, like they're all like rushing, trying to get to the map to like look at it or something. And then all the professors were like, "Oh crap! Oh crap! Go away! Go away! Go away! We need to get rid of this map quick."
Oh, I think I saw it more as, like, less like rioting as, like, running up to it, but, like, more just, like, erupting into conversation about how they got it and just sort of being impressed, I guess?
I can see that. I have to go pull up now, so I'm kind of curious. See,
Yeah, I don't remember how it was phrased.
actually, let me go to 26. So it'll be at the end of 25. Yeah, because at the like, this is literally like the last page. And they're like, "How do we know this map is in fact current?" And they're like, "Because we stole it from General Sorgan's office." And then it goes, absolute mayhem breaks out. Some of the writers rush the stage as professors battle their way toward us, toward like Violet Squad.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, why are writers rushing the stage and the professor is having to battle through them? It was just a weird, like, chaotic description. Now I'm just like,
Yeah,
why?
I feel like then it's just them, like, trying to, like, actually look at it because these students aren't gonna ever get to really see it either, so, like, maybe, like, them running up to it being like, "Oh my gosh, like, this is crazy, like, you got this insane map from her office that shows where all of the outposts are," and they're, like, trying to look at it and, like, sort of retain all of the information from it.
Uh, that would make, I guess, a little sense. Because yeah, battle brief, they're like confidential information and all this stuff. So the professors are kind of like, crap, crap.
Yeah.
I can see that a little bit. But I just remember reading that and I just was very much like, what the hell is going on here?
Yeah.
And then for other parts of chapter 25, you kind of get some more lore information, like how the infantry and the scribes all kind of have their own little like winter break or like summer breaks, etc. And it's noted that the writers don't get any breaks until they graduate, in which case that's only for a few days do they get a break.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's also interesting because they're like the infantry winter camping is a break, and I'm like, I don't know if I would call that a break if you're still practicing survival skills.
Yeah, if you're still basically on the clock, I would not call it.
A break, yeah. The scribes are straight up a break. I mean, the fact that you get a mind body health retreat,
Yeah.
that's straight up a break. Oh, that's what that was referencing. I have sleep potion poisoning Violet in action again. I think that was referencing to the guards. They like put one of the guards to sleep,
Yeah.
and then the other one got blasted when they were running away.
Yeah, it got blasted with air.
Wind blast. Pshoo!
Which also, imagine getting knocked out because you got hit by wind.
Yeah, and I think these are infantry are the ones guarding. I don't think they're riders guarding.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what else was stolen because I just have on here about how someone decided to steal a scribe and they silenced him. And I'm like, they just have a silent scribe kidnapped from his bed. Okay.
Straight up stole a human from his sleep. And I'm like, bro. And they're like, yeah, I can tell by how his mouth has been silent that he's gonna be traumatized after this. I'm like, y'all chose to traumatize a scribe.
Yeah. And it's just the fact that, like, I can see having him silenced, trying not to get caught, but why is he still silenced in the room? Let this man go. Let his voice be free again.
Yeah, he is not having a grand old time. Like, he is probably like, damn, this shit sucks.
Xaden was like, look at my young Padawan of disaster. Violet has caused chaos, and Xaden approved. Wouldn't be the first time, actually. That this is now the second time that's happened, because shout out to the quadrant.
Yeah.
Right? No. Yes. Yeah. Where she threw a dagger and used that, and
Ambus.
Amber had a fit. Ambus. All right, so my questions for 25, which we'll see if I can make them out or not, because the first one I was trying to debate. So I was like, they made a comment going like, Violet's fast like Xaden, and they're talking about their signets or something, and I was very confused. And I'm confused reading that question.
Hold on, I'm pulling it up. Where did it go?
I think this would have been when they're in the gym room and they're trying to plan out what to do. And they made some comment about Violet being fast like Xaden. But they're all talking about their signet. And I remember they were all talking about like their signet abilities and everything. And it just seemed kind of out of nowhere to be like, Violet's fast. And I'm just like, she doesn't have a signet yet, but I know what they mean.
I thought it was Imogen that was like, and I'm fast. I was like, odd brag, but all right. But if it was Violet, because I was listening to it, so like,
yeah,
it may have been Violet who is fast.
That's a good question now. Who knows with me and my reading, because this was me rushing before I had my eyes zapped. But yeah, so it was just kind of a weird kind of moment, and I was kind of just like, huh? And I was like, I get it, Violet's generally fast, but at the same time, it was just a weird combo, because they're planning and they're talking about signets and all that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh yeah, so then they mentioned Heaton's signet, and I was like, how on earth did one figure out that was your signet? Let me pull up Heaton to say what his signet was, because I don't remember off the top of my head. Crap, where is that man? Where's his file? Oh, okay, he's able to breathe underwater. That was his signet.
Yeah, I was like, who tested?
Exactly.
Yeah, because like, as far as we know, that's not a well-known, like, common signet. So, like, I also want to know how they dealt with, like, him manifesting it, and, yeah, like,
I wonder if he just suddenly wasn't able to breathe air.
I feel like he was still able to breathe air. I
don't know. It's just a weird one. That was just like, huh? Someone was just waterboarding him.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that actually might be legit. Okay, anyway, knowing these people noted that he's freaked out by the scribes and how they all act like they can make or break someone by writing. And Violet says he's not wrong. And I'm like, I wonder how true all that is and why on earth Emery is aware of this. And also kind of like make or break someone writing. So they're just recording everything that happens. So I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I get the point, but at the same time, at their level, the scribes would be like recording stuff like, there's this many people at this battle. Emery did XYZ. Like, what are they going to just add in there that you just didn't do it? Like, huh? I feel like for a scribe to actually cause damage by writing, they have to be higher ranking scribe or a higher ranking dragon rider. Because I don't think anyone's going to care about the average slow mojo writer.
I feel like they're just not going to give an actual shit about them.
Oh, yeah. I think at one point, too, it was kind of weird. They're doing this whole signet breakdown. And then I think we actually discover what Nadine's signet was during their actual heist of stealing from the general. I thought that was a weird little thing. I was just like, I don't think her signet was anything insane. It was just kind of a weird little, like, why is it just brought up in the middle of this?
Oh, was it the one who can astral project?
Let's see here, Nadine. No, she's able to unweave wards.
Oh.
Yeah, it was weird because it was just all of a sudden like, Nadine, you're up. And it's like, why wasn't this mentioned when everyone else's signet was mentioned? Why is it being told to us by the author in the middle of doing this.
Oh, I thought they did mention it.
Maybe I just missed it and didn't write it down. So that was all my questions for chapter 25 that I kind of had noted. And chapter 26, we get into the fact that Violet Squad has won, and their reward is to go to the battlefront.
Which I stand by my statement is an odd reward. You win. Go to the front lines of battle.
You would think it'd be like, go check out some like other place, etc. But they're like, front line. I'm like, isn't the front line not the ideal place for newbies to be?
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't think they're necessarily frontline, but like they're pretty damn close to it. So maybe that's not the best course of action for like people who are still learning about all of it.
Yeah. And like you have like a bunch of first years in the group who not all of them have their signets. Questionable choices. And so I think they're there for a week. We go, oh my gosh, this is Mira's outpost at the moment. So Mira and Violet get to sister bond.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite parts of the entire chapter. I love it.
I just love Mira.
I also love Mira. She's kind of badass. Yeah, she's badass and she knows it. And for those reasons, I love her.
We get a little bit more Violet Dane time in which they kind of go down memory lane and kind of getting a little bit closer to accepting that they're not what they were when they were 12. Last time, I believe, if I wrote this correctly and figured out the math correctly, last time Violet would have seen Mira was 9 months ago, because that would have been August, and we're like in April, roughly. So 9 months away. Mira's so happy that Violet's doing well and all that stuff. And then we get kind of a flash forward a few days where Violet and Ree decide to do an escape from the outpost.
Yeah, which you're the only group of people from the college and you think you're gonna escape without getting caught. So Mira finds them because obviously, like, you really thought you were gonna be sneaky and just like swoop out without being seen.
Also, weren't they escaping to go to their dragon?
Yeah, they were going to their dragons because it's a 5-minute flight to her sister's place.
Her twin sister would have just given birth
not
too long ago, I think it was. And so they're like, oh my gosh, I need to see my potential niece or nephew. Also, partially why Mira joins in, because Violet was like, wouldn't you have done the same thing for me? So, yeah. It just occurred to me while we're talking about this. It's like they literally go to their dragons. And I'm like, are you telling me no one would just notice Terran?
Literally, like this massive fucking dragon. Just kind of, just like, they have people patrolling at night. You were not getting away without being noticed.
Noticed and questioned. Also, shout out to this next point, because I don't remember what this was about whatsoever. But I wrote on here that Mira points out Violet having mommy issues.
Oh, it's because Mira was talking to Violet and was like, the key to getting her signet to appear is to stop thinking it had anything to do with their mom.
Yep, that's what it was.
Because she spent all of this time being like, my mom doesn't think highly of me. I don't have my signet yet, so she thinks worse of me. And Mira's like, it has nothing to do with her. Just focus on you, basically.
Stop stressing. Also, while they're out and about, while they're chilling at Ree's twin sister's house, Mira and Violet have a little chit chat where Violet's like, hey, the border attacks, like, not all of them are being reported, and it's something weird and suspicious. And Mira's like, yo, we just follow orders.
Yeah, which also, like, given Violet's history of, like, originally wanting to be a scribe and, like, knowing all of this information, it's not shocking that she wants answers that are above her clearance.
Her scribe brain is popping off.
Yeah, turn that thing off. Put that thing right back where it came from, or so help me.
Also, shout out to, I don't remember what the Dane drama was in this chapter, but there's Dane drama.
Oh, yeah, that's whenever Mira does her whole spiel about, like, the tension between them and how it's ruining their, uh, squad. That's the word. Their squad. Um, and how she's like, "If I can see that there's tension between you two."
No,
Is it not that one?
that one's no, that one's a little later. That's after their imaginary war
Mm,
game. I wonder if this was just her noticing that Dane and Violet are being tension and they're like not like being besties, and she's like, "The hell is wrong with you two?" And then Violet's like, "He's being stupid."
he's a man. What did you
But
expect?
yeah, then I like the comment too where Mira mentions that she talked to leadership about her dragon scale vest that she created for Violet, and that essentially leadership was going to look into it for like producing for more people than just like Violet or Mira. Oh, and then also shout out to Mira too, because she's like, "Hey, Violet, that book that you really adored from our dad, that folk book." Yeah, so I went ahead and cavaliered it from your room just in case mom had decided to go and mess with your stuff. And so here you go. We love Mira. Mira's the best. Mira went, I know our mother, and I know you love this book and would throw a hissy fit if you got back to your room and it wasn't there.
Yeah. Which, very fair.
They also chit chat too about bounded dragon riders. As Violet was asking Mira if she knew any other bonded dragon riders, which we don't get much there, but we do end the chapter off with Zayden just showing up and being like, "Yeah, so apparently 3 days max is your answer to how long we can be apart." And I had questions there because for him to walk up and answer that question and everything, I'm just like, how long was this man just standing there or like hiding out?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, because Violet even makes a comment to herself too, because she was like, "Taryn's been awfully quiet now. It's like I haven't like heard him make any snide remarks in the last couple of hours." So if like Segale showed up and he went off to go with her, how long has Zayden been there? I could see him not wanting to interrupt, but then at the same time, just popping in right when they start asking about bonded like dragons.
yeah, his sort of moment to be like, "Hello, I am here."
My questions for this chapter. Let's see. Oh, I mentioned about Dane. I misspelled his name again, but okay. Yeah, so I was just like mentioning here about Violet being kind of hypocritical because she refuses to accept Dane as a writer and all this and him growing and changing because of him being a writer and using that against him being upset the same breath when she's like, Dane doesn't see me as a writer. And it's like kind of like they both have the same issue and they're not seeing it. That's maybe what the Violet Dane drama was. And Mira was like, why on earth were y'all screaming at each other?
Literally.
And then yeah, it was also interesting. I forget what it was talked about, but I put it here as a question. I do remember it happening. Was Mira was talking about, hey, remember when we were kids and like XYZ kind of stuff, and then Violet just doesn't remember. Oh, it was about the book, about the dad's folklore book. And I thought it was really weird because Mira was talking about the book, and Violet's like, I don't remember that being in the book. And but Violet's like has been stated as adoring this book and reading it multiple times. I
Yeah.
thought that was kind of odd.
Yeah, I didn't notice that part. But I mean, now that you're mentioning it, I remember that.
I find it, I don't know, kind of strange. Like, I kind of get it to an extent, but at the same time, it feels like if you like a book a lot, you generally remember like the big ideas and everything in it, and you just wouldn't remember like the finer details. So I just thought it was really odd that Violet's kind of like, I really like this book, but I don't really remember this book. So I just was like, that kind of just seemed weird. My last question on here wasn't even a question. I don't know why I put it on here, but it's a comment. It's not even a question. And it's still funny. So Mira goes through and judging Griffin writers, and she was like, "Yeah, have you seen what writers Griffins pick? Like they're like a questionable bunch." And I'm just like, "Have you seen Jack Barlow and the dragon that picked him?"
Yeah, very fair.
I would throw that judgingness around, man. But yeah, so that was kind of 26. 26 was pretty much just introducing some lore stuff, and then Ree's house, which was just kind of chit chat. I don't think anything too crazy happened.
Yeah, no, not that I can think of.
I think the majority of this is really when it comes to chapter 27 and 28 is when a lot of stuff starts happening. So moving on to chapter 27, which is there is when we get into the war game. Well, imagination Mira war game, and where Mira puts her foot down on the Dane Violet Zayden drama, as you're bringing up. In which case, I've broken that down into different things. I have questions though for it, right? Yeah, I have questions. So my first part that I thought was interesting, which I'll go pull it up to read, was the little, I don't know if I should call it quote, but little kind of summary or info tidbit at the very start of the chapter for 27. I thought that was a little bit interesting. So basically, it was just mentioning about her reward. It was a recommendation for reward from Major Potsdam to General Sorengale.
Yeah.
And so that she was recommended for a higher level award, but her mother was like, no, she gets the lower tier award. She does not get the Star Navarre, I don't believe. She ends up with the Order of Talon as her award.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of an interesting little tidbit there.
Yeah. Which, once again, their mom kind of sucks.
And I'm like, I don't know how you call that, like, even question of favoritism or anything like that. If it was like recommended so highly by somebody, but okay, that's that's the only like rational explanation one can argue is that she doesn't want to be like showing favoritism to her own blood. But you know, I feel like this is still just as bad. And then so we get into Mira while they're all sitting around the table. She was like, okay, let's start working on some strategy. So, and she kind of sets the background for their imaginary battle strat game, in which case everyone starts taking it way too literally, and she complains about that.
Yeah, which also, like, they've been taught to take things literally.
It was funny too, because I'm like, I wouldn't even argue so much about the literalness of it all as they were just thinking highly detailed.
Yeah.
Which is good. And I love my comments still to this, where I read what was going on and I went, Ray, the boys are catfighting again.
Literally.
Referring to Dane and Zayden.
Just literally like 90% of what they do.
Oh gosh. They were literally catfighting. And Mira was like, shut up. Love Mira. So this is also where we get Zayden mental talking to Violet all of a sudden. Violet's like, the hell?
Yeah. Which also, like, him being like, I should have done this sooner if I knew it would get this kind of reaction. Because she's like, what the fuck? I wish he did do it sooner because I really love her reaction. And I love that it just kind of pisses her off a little bit because she can't figure out how to do it yet.
Yeah. It was really funny that she freaks out so much because she was so good at the mental shielding that I just find it weird that she feels like she would have such a hard time finding it with Zayden, because it's like it's the same thing. You just need to find Zayden's connection to you. Oh, and then my next comment, which I'm trying to find the exact quote, I didn't copy it on here, but I was like, Dane is such a diva. He's being such a diva.
He is. He's actually the original diva.
Oh, he was being a full-blown diva, and I loved it. Okay, so this is, of course, where they're all squabbling, and Dane goes through, and so he was squabbling with Zayden, and then Violet defends him, and Dane's like, of course you rushed to defend him. He's like, though, how can you forget that this guy wanted to kill you 6 months ago is beyond me. And Violet's like, I can't believe you went there. And I'm like, Dane is such a diva.
Yeah, he is literally just so butthurt that she's choosing Zayden over him. And I'm like, bro, get over it.
See, for me, it comes across actually as Dane actually acting like her best friend for once. you see your best friend, somebody you care about, and you're questioning the decisions they're making, and you're like mad about it. And so you're like, did you forget he was trying to kill you? I don't know how you forgot that. It was just a really good moment, and I thought it was funny. And it was even funnier because then Violet later down the road throws it back in its face, where she's like, where is it? She throws this back at Dane, saying, I mean, how can you forget you're the squad leader? It's beyond me. And I was just like, ooh, this actually feels like two best friends actually fighting now, and I like it.
Yeah, sort of just throwing shade at each other.
Yeah, it's just cat fighting. They're both being divas, and it's great. And once again, I feel like Dane is just the male version of Violet.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think about it, I think that's actually really true because the fact that he was so trusting and into Ambus and was trying to defend her, even though Violet was like, "Are you crazy?" And then him having his problems with Xaden and Violet being like, "Are you crazy?"
Yeah, I do love that it's just this constant cycle of, do you realize you're crazy? Do I realize I'm crazy? Are we all crazy? No, you're crazy.
They're like looking at a mirror at each other. Like the mirror is each other for them too. They're reflecting each other and they're not seeing it, and I'm living for it. Yeah, because I even made a comment here going, Violet and Dane being the same person is beyond me. The fact that Violet just takes it and throws it back at his face. Oh, and then Dane's freaking signet is like secret super clearance that no one can have access to. Diva. Also, how did he get so far and where he's at with no one knowing his signet?
Yeah.
Like, he's halfway through his second year.
I mean, he has, I can't remember if it's him or Xaden that has the classified symbol instead.
He has a classic classified.
Okay. See, something I don't understand for him is that his is classified and then he tells people. And I'm like, bro, what part of classified did you not understand?
That's a good argument. That is true. He is a stickler for that. But he told Violet.
Yeah, but also like he didn't know if Violet was gonna tell other people.
Which she hasn't. They're still besties.
Deep down somewhere.
But yeah, no, it's just kind of interesting, which I mean, he's a squad leader, so I guess he can afford that to some degree. But also, I feel like how can you be a team and not know something like that? At least the general gist of it, maybe not all the details. It's just like, because it's like you're military, it's like you're supposed to be like the squad's supposed to form bonds and you're supposed to work together and all this stuff. I'm like, if you just have one person and you're like, I feel like that causes issues. Like, you have to be able to tell them something. You can't just be like, nope, don't know nothing. You gotta be like, my signet is dealing with information, you know?
Yeah, you don't just get to be like, nope, classified, nope, classified, nope, classified. Like,
especially in this imaginary war game where you're trying to like use everyone to your abilities and things like that. And it's just like, well, what are you doing? Classified. Now, if he was like Xaden, who's a wing leader, I feel like that's like even like gives you a little bit more
leeway.
Because that's like I'm pretty soon as high, almost as high up as you can be, if not like the highest as a cadet or like in the school. So I was like, I guess like if you're like head like person in charge and stuff, that makes some sense. Also, shout out to I quoted this in here because I thought it was so great where Violet was thinking to herself about the signets and how it's supposed to reflect who you are at the core of your being. And she was like, oh, Mira's protective. Dane has to know everything. And Xaden has secrets.
Yeah, I about died because like Mira wants to protect people and then she throws shade at everyone else. And I'm like, fair.
The way I thought about it was she was just like, and Xaden has secrets. I feel like that's just her being like confused.
Which also like, this is before she's like, I don't actually know anything about him. Because I guess that moment really made her realize like, Mira's protective. Dane has to know everything, and Zayden, insert ellipses, is like, what about him? And she's like, well, he's got secrets.
Yeah, it's just so weak. And it's like, okay, so his signet is shadow, manipulating shadows. You're gonna go with has secrets. You could have been like hiding. He feels like he has to hide things or something.
Yeah, which would have made more sense, but
Or he's very like secretive or mysterious. Like I don't know, like you want to get something down to the core and just stating he has secrets. Like everybody has secrets, Violet.
yeah.
It's really interesting with shadow summoning if you're going down that route because it's like you could do something like they feel like they have to hide a lot of things. They're very like maybe secretive or protective of themselves, or maybe you can make it something more sinister.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because it's like is it because it's supposed to be reflective of who the person is at the core, and so it's like okay, got darkness, so like, do they feel like they have are they, like, constantly hiding who they are? Are they constantly feeling like they have to hide? Maybe they don't like being seen? But I feel like some of that you gets more into, like, invisibility, or do they, like, get a little bit more sinister where it's like they need to hide they're constantly, like, being this way, trying to, like, manipulate people and, like, assassin-y vibes or something. So, it was like there's a lot you can go with that, and just her going, "I don't know." Has secrets? What do you think for Zayden?
I think, yes, he does have secrets because obviously, like, who in this story world doesn't? But I like the whole, like, he feels like he has to hide, whether it's aspects of himself or aspects of the people around him to sort of protect them. And, like, sort of that tying into his shadowy hiding signet. But I could also see it from the way of like, how do I phrase this? Sort of like sneaking around, sort of, if that makes sense, where he's like, he could use it to like know things about like other people, where like whenever he, this is later in the like few chapters that we read, but whenever he's like, oh, I already knew this about you. He's like, I made it my mission to know everything about you the moment you crossed the parapet. And sort of yeah, sort of tying in the like the sneakiness of shadows into the sneakiness of him finding information out about her, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Which, as you pointed out there, that's an interesting little correlation between Zayden and Dane, and also the whatever name guy who had got cracked Snapple popped by Professor Carr could read everyone's mind. I feel like a lot of this says a lot about their signet says a lot when you think about it in like information terms, because he probably was wanting to know what everyone was thinking about him and was very concerned about that. So he got a mind reading. Dane is kind of control freak slash, as Violet puts it, wants to know everything. But it's kind of more information based and like planning and stuff like that, more so than like knowing what everyone thinks about him. So his is like kind of you have to like hand in the face, and it's like maybe it's kind of he wants to know everything like about people. He just has this strong desire of just knowledge. So that's kind of maybe why his signet formed. And then Zayden, yeah, like maybe he has interest in knowing things, but he doesn't want people to realize that he's like trying like getting that information maybe.
Yeah, and sort of like playing off of this like nonchalantness of acquiring information.
Yeah. And so it's like kind of like a desire to knowledge, but like in a much more subtle way. It's kind of like asking people questions, I guess, in a way to get information out without them realizing like you're talking to them, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh yeah," and they start telling you stories.
And before they realize that they've spilt 32 things that they probably shouldn't have.
Yeah. So that was one of those little moments that was like a key little takeaway for me. And then my favorite part, as Ray has mentioned previously, is Mira, love Mira. She is what I expect of a writer to a T. She kept her cool, kept everything going. Also, side note before I continue with that sentence, at the Zayd and Dane Violet drama, I'm also, along with probably most of us, one of the unnamed writers in that room going, no, no, stop, Mira, this is our entertainment. You can't. This is the drama.
See, it's the drama, but she has to point out that it's holding their team back.
So like up front and like in public, she's just kind of like enough. And then after they finish their stuff, then she's like, "You three, come with me." Puts up silencing ward, and then she calls them all out on all the BS.
And I loved this because I was like, it's about fucking time that someone calls out all of the bullshittery that they've been spewing and fucking doing because they needed it. They weren't going to get past it unless someone called it out. And literally, Dane becoming super defensive and being like, well, he's bad for her. And she's like, yeah, I don't disagree. But if I can see the tension and the problems between you three, everyone else can. So get it together. I was like, hell yeah, let's fucking go.
Mira literally called them all out on it. She was like, Dane, you and Violet have been best friends since you were 5. You grew up like next door to us. Get your act together. Start acting like friends again. This is ridiculous. Calls out Zayd. He also calls out Zayd on his BS too. And then was like, if Zayden's bad for her, you're bad for her too. Knock it off. It was like, y'all are writers. You're squad leader. Act like a freaking squad leader. Do you want to be wing leader next year? Then freaking start acting like it.
Act like you want the position of power that you've been put into. And act like you deserve it too.
Honestly. Oh, this man. Mira, I love Mira. She's so great. She did what I needed someone to do in the story, and that was to honestly slap all of them upside the head. But specifically Dane, who's supposed to be a squad leader and not acting like it. And I've called him out multiple times because it's annoying the crap out of me.
Yeah.
One of my pet peeves is like, if you're gonna do a job, do it right. And he hasn't been doing it right, and it's annoying me. At this point, it's like, I want Imogen to be squad leader at this point.
I do love Imogen. She's such a delight.
She grows on you. First introduction, I did not like her. Past that, I've loved her.
Yeah, at the beginning, I hated her because she just seemed like a stuck-up prick. But she grew on me, and now she's one of my favorites. She's also just a bad bitch.
I like wanted to like her at first too, because I was like, she has pink hair. She's like, all of it. It's just, it seemed great. And then her interaction with Violet, I was just like, oh no.
She was an absolute jerk.
Yeah.
I was like, damn, this shit sucks. And then she gets better about it.
And then she cools off, but as Zayden goes, she didn't kill your parents. That wasn't her. She was also a child. Stop it. Oh, yeah, this is also in this chapter. We get Mira now finds out that Violet's not staying on her dragon seat. And we have, once again, the rehash of this issue again.
You know the like TikTok audio that's like, ah, ha, 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 again. That's exactly what this feels like, because it's like every like 5 chapters, it's like, oh yeah, I can't stay on my seat. And they're like, what do you mean you can't stay on your seat? I'm like, oh my god, how many people do we have to announce this to?
It's the fact that the combo and everything vibe is like, her with Dane is the same thing as her with Mira right now. And so it's just funny because I was like, at this point, there needs to be a little bit more explanation of what's going on, because like Violet instantly is taking offense. It's like, Mira's like, what do you mean you're not staying on your seat? And then Violet's like, yeah, I'm getting better, but I'm not magically fixed overnight. She was like, I'm still broken, was kind of her vibe. And I'm like, that doesn't equate to staying on your dragon seat in my brain, though.
Well, I think, like, yeah, Mira looked at it as in, like, Violet's gotten so much stronger, she ought to be able to stay on her seat by now. But also, Mira's not taking into consideration, 1, the pain that Violet goes through every single day. 2, her overall size. She's 5 foot nothing, on like one of the largest dragons. Like, she's not taking into consideration all of the assets that are working against her in this whole scheme of staying in her seat.
That's what I kind of wish Violet would actually explain or iterate better instead of "I'm still me." It was kind of odd.
Because also, like, Mira doesn't understand the chronic pain that Violet goes through, and Violet hasn't expressed it explicitly, which she really needs to do, or else she's never gonna fully understand this. Like, yeah.
Yeah. And so after like rehashing this for the bazillionth time, I'm like, I'm getting annoyed with the lack of explaining here.
Just like, yeah, my body still sucks. I work out, but my body still sucks.
And it's weird because being in Violet's head, it's like Violet has this goal and idea that if she keeps getting stronger and better, she'll be able to stay on the dragon. That's why she constantly is arguing with her dragon and falling off.
Like, it's not for lack of trying.
It's like her frustration at herself is almost kind of getting aimed at other people, and it's weird because it's like this weird kind of contradiction of trying to accomplish a goal and then just being like, I'm never accomplishing this goal. I think is where I'm getting a little frustrated with her and her lack, like one, she's lacking explaining it to people, and then two, it's like she's arguing with herself with these people. And so it's kind of just like I said with the mirror, it kind of really highlights it for me that it's like she's been working out with Imogen, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm getting like getting all this. It's like she's acting like she's going to be able to at one point be able to stay on her dragon. Everything's great, but at the same time, in the other breath, it's kind of like, no, this doesn't fix me. I'm never going to be able to stay on my dragon. And I'm like, I don't know about fixing. It should be improving.
Yeah, it should be at least making it a little easier.
Of course, we get the Griffin attack and then Violet's whole freak out.
To be fair, I can see this from both perspectives where Mira's doing her thing and she's been in this for a hot minute and she's like, Violet, leave, because like she's a first year in this college. She's not prepared for this. And then Violet at the same time is like, no, I have to be here to help, which in reality, chances are she would just end up getting in the way, because I'm sure that they have protocols for this, and Mira knows these protocols and Violet doesn't, but also I understand the whole, like, you're watching this sort of, like, camp isn't the right phrasing, but this fort, this outpost, yeah. You're watching this outpost start to get attacked and your sister's in it and you want to stay because you think that you'll make a difference, and if you leave and then she dies, you'll never forgive yourself, and I get that. But you don't have the proper training.
Yeah, you can see my comments on it all. And the whole thing is weird. Once again, it's a weird interaction of Violet's very emotional and she's also clever and smart. And sometimes she doesn't really think at times, especially when she gets like really emotional on things. And she's like adamant. She's like, I can't leave my sister. We're being attacked. You want me to leave my sister? And it's like, Violet, you've been away for 9 months. And Mira's been out here as a dragon rider. What do you think was going on? Like, this isn't her first battle. You haven't been in a battle. You're a first year. You don't even have your signet yet. Get lost.
Get out of here.
And then it's also funny too, because it's like, it's also, you're not the only one here, Violet. You have the rest of your squad, and there are a bunch of other first years who also don't know jack crap about battle yet. Like, they have no experience. They're first years. You're not, like, none of that's supposed to happen. Like, Dane was just getting mad in the last chapter going, you're not supposed to be out on the field until you graduate. And Zayden's like, well, I'm a third year. I've been out on the field. And so it's like, you're a first year, and Dane's here going, third years aren't even supposed to be out in the field. Like, huh? And they pretty much have to spell it out to Violet, and then Violet's going, oh, it's not about me. There's other people here.
The world does not revolve around Violet in this chapter.
And that's kind of, I guess, my frustration with Violet a lot of the times is she kind of does get really revolved around herself.
Quite often, actually.
It's like, yeah, Violet, your actions affect other people. And sometimes it's beyond your control that it affects other people, or maybe other people need to, in fact, know things. So it's like, I get it. Violet lost a sibling in battle. It's very, like, I get it. It's like, it's in her face. She's not away and can pretend that Mira's perfectly fine and nothing's going on. But at the same time, this very much illustrates to me at this time that there's not a chance that Violet's ever going to be a good leader, at least not this Violet. You have to consider your entire squad, everything going there and happening. She's just solely tunnel vision on Mira. And it's like Mira has a bunch of other writers. She's not alone. Like, there's nothing indicating at this moment in time. Well, correction. There's one indication, which is partially why Violet's freaked out, is the ward's all of a sudden down. And so she's seeing the trend, and that's part of the reason why she's freaked. But she should have a little bit more faith or trust in her sister.
Yeah, and like you said, like, she has other writers there. So, like, have some more trust in your sister and her team. Like, it's not just Mira against, like, 12 Griffins or however many showed up. Like, it's not just her. She has an entire, like, team behind her and, like, beside her that are all working for the same thing.
And Violet should really be focused on being with her squad and making sure her entire squad gets out there alive. So she has the bigger, scarier dragon. And they're all, like, not all, there's some like second and third years, but there's like 2 third years. I forget how many are second years. And then like a whole little gang of first years. Violet makes this observation that Xaden came back with his pack because they're packing really quick. And she was like, his pack is smaller than when he arrived. And I'm like, it kind of just gives off the vibe that maybe he just didn't, he's just like grabbed the absolute essentials and is just like left stuff behind because of sudden attack. And he's like, we need to get going. But at the same time, it was kind of sudden that he suddenly left to go to the dragons kind of thing. So wouldn't that already have essentials and small stuff? So I'm just kind of like, what did he get rid of?
Yeah, unless he brought, like, books or something and then he left, like, clothes. Yeah.
It's a little suspicious. Just a little. Because it's like, especially Xaden, because it's like, it's his stuff and everything. Like, it's just like, I don't feel like he would just leave something behind, especially if it takes just 5 seconds to grab it and throw in your pack, or he's only been there so long that he probably had most of it packed up already anyway.
Yeah, he doesn't strike me as a get to the hotel and unpack everything into drawers kind of guy.
It was just kind of an odd little notice, because Violet's been noticing him doing things that were quote unquote suspicious to her, and I'm like, this is another one where I'm just like, that's a little odd. Oh yeah, and then Violet also finally kind of was like, okay, me and Dane have been best friends for like 15 years now. She's like, he's only been an a-hole for one of those years. She was like, kind of like, he doesn't mean I want him to die. I was like, finally, we got some kind of realization going on here. But yeah, that was just kind of like Violet for the remainder of this chapter, pretty much, in my opinion, acts like an overgrown child. Like, even after admitting, like, this isn't all about her and all this stuff, and like, there's other people in danger, her squad's in danger and stuff, she's still constantly throwing a hissy fit and being like, what do you mean I have to go? And Xaden literally has to mildly manipulate her into leaving. Leave for me?
Yeah, the whole leave for me, and then he kisses her, and like, while I'm sitting in the corner screaming, having the best time of my life, he's primarily using it to stall so that their dragons can arrive. And I'm like, I wish it was under better circumstances, but I am still loving it.
Say, I was over here going, this is not the time to be kissing. Oh, he just slightly manipulated the crap out of you to get you out of here. It's like, that makes a little bit more sense. And then the leave for me? And I'm like, what are we, Dane again? I didn't like when Dane did it. I don't like it when Zayden does it either. Dane going, well, I'm scared of you dying. You should leave the squad for like, for me, just like my sanity. Can you just go be a scribe?
Yeah, go sit with your books and your silly pen and leave the dragons to me. No, like she could not, couldn't do
I
that.
have to call that crap out there, Zayden, Red X. And then also because the mentioned previously where we kind of have the whole scribe power thing is I thought it was interesting that Violet's dad was a scribe and he was really interested in the folklore book and then Violet's not remembering stuff. And so it was kind of like the previous hints where like scribes hold all the info and the power and all this stuff. And I'm like, what about her dad? Because he was like going through, like we've mentioned previously, like, oh, he was researching about feather tails, but we can't find that info. So there's a lot of little bits and pieces that I slowly keep adding on top of each other.
Well, I mean, Violet mentions that she knows exactly where that is. She just didn't want to give that information to I think it was like General Atos, Dane's father, and then her mom, because she knew that they would abuse the information.
But it's also interesting because you assume her dad also kind of want to keep it hidden, hence why it's not in the archives or anything. Also, the folklore book that he was obsessed with and she was obsessed wherever, there's nothing in the archive about that either. So, and we also don't know her dad's name or anything about her dad. I don't think we even know how he died.
Yeah, I don't think we know the exact.
It's all suspicious. So, chapter 27 was kind of heavy. And then 28 is also, once again, heavy. So, we'll get into that. And once again, I think the above quote for 28 was really interesting, where it's from Brennan in his journal talking to, like, leaving a little thing for Mira. And it's about the war games. And he's like, hey, you need to be smart. It's not all about strength, all that stuff. But then it gets really cryptid, where it's kind of like, you need to understand your enemies. You need to understand your friends. No one stay friends forever. Eventually, those closest to us become our enemies in some way. If we live long enough to become their villains, kind of thing. And I'm like, that's kind of eerie there. Like, what did he see? What did he experience?
Who turned against this man?
Yeah, I was like, it very much reads that he was close to somebody and either he felt betrayed or he felt betrayed and betrayed them. Like something happened and he was like, Mira, just because you're best friends with whoever, you can't 100% trust them. And so it's interesting kind of foreshadowing. And I'm just like, okay, so we're going to get friend betrayal or something. And it's like, what happened to him? Did something happen to Mira? Is this foreshadowing for Violet? Like, what's going on?
It better not be foreshadowing for Violet and Reed, or I will throw the world's largest hissy fit.
I agree with that. I agree. Yeah. I love Reese so much. I'm going to be straight up. Depending if we're to assume in La La Land, Reed betrays Violet for some reason, somehow, some shade. It has to be some wicked, insane opinion or like betrayal or something for me to pick Violet over Reed, because I feel like I would just pick Reed's side in this.
That's so valid, though. Like, okay, but Reed is kind of the best.
He is.
Like, she's smart, she's tough, she's an amazing friend. She is able to tell it like it is and, like, be really blunt, but she also, like, knows when she doesn't have to be super blunt and she can give, like, just friendship advice. I don't know. I love her. She's wonderful.
We don't get her see a whole lot with her, just bits and pieces. And I love Bree every time she's around. Love her. I love Mira too. It's like one of those things too, where it's like, once again, it's like if something's going on here. It's like, it has to be something insane for me not to pick Mira aside. It's like there's certain people in here that I'm just like, I don't know, man. It's Mira. Are you certain you're wrong? And it's like like you're not wrong. Like I'm pretty certain it's Mira. Like it's like how I feel about with Ree with some of this. It's like if Ree was to be like, you're a bitch, chill. She's probably right. Okay, so 28, as we were talking about, yeah, that. Then we also get a time skip a little bit, just 2 days flash forward, and Violet's like, I spent 1 day flying and 1 day waiting. This is also where I get pissy with Violet because I get it. She's stressed. She's concerned about her sister and all that stuff. But she's like the equivalent of just curling up in your bed and giving up on life kind of vibe, you know?
Yeah, she gets really stressed and then she self-isolates, which, as my therapist tells me, is not healthy. But alas.
It's like she has like classes and she has like duties and like responsibilities, and she's like takes all of it and throws it out the window. She's like, oh yeah, that Liam, who's supposed to be my bodyguard, got rid of him. She's like ditching him. And I'm just like, girl's being so irresponsible. And it's not like she's literally staying in a room or something like that. She's going out and she's just like going to guard, what is it, Professor Markham's, whatever, the scribe room, waiting for the information to get to him. And it's just like, I don't know. It was just like, you, that's not healthy. It's just not healthy.
Yeah. You have to at least semi go about your normal day to day. And like, worrying is fine, but worrying to the point where it affects your day to day severely is a.
She doesn't mention it, but it very much gives the vibe of where it's like 1 day flying, 1 day waiting. I don't think she slept.
I don't think so either.
This is like she's waiting in the room to get the information and all that. And like Xaden shows up and Dane shows up and all that. And we find out from Xaden that dragons do gossip. The dragons gossip. Segale and Karen gossip with each other.
Which I love. I love that they're just this like catty like couple. They're just talking shit.
And then Violet's still being her bratty, childish, whatever self at the moment. And she's like, Karen's been telling my business to Segale, who's telling it to Xaden and all this. She's just like, you're not my favorite. Goldie is. And Taryn just snorts and all that. And I'm just like, this pretty much whole vibe reads Taryn and Segale are like the parents here. And he's just watching the children go through and be like, yeah, the other child's my favorite. It was just really, really funny. And then I'm pretty convinced at this point that Violet's a weirdo. I was like looking at it, and mind you, I have an ebook, so I don't have a printed copy, so it might be an error. But like her and Violet, she figures out how to finally like mentally talk with Xaden, and they're like kind of doing this mental talk kind of thing. And they're doing it in front of like Dane is like in front of them. I forget what it was, but like Dane said something, and then Xaden kind of snips back at him, and then Violet's instead of like it was just kind of weird because she wasn't really agreeing with Xaden, and nor was she sniping back at Dane. She was just kind of like, yes, please. It's like that's for Xaden, which Xaden said it in her head. And so it was kind of a weird little moment where I don't know if it was supposed to have been italics and been like mental as well, or if she actually did say it out loud. And I'm like, Violet's going to get such weirdo vibes if she's not pulling this mental talk hidden secret correctly, you know? But I guess to ask the question, basically a statement to see your take was kind of a Violet's not subtle. And now she's doing this hiding game of mental speak with Xaden. And I think she's going to end up looking like a weirdo more often than not.
Oh, absolutely. Because also, like, Xaden has asked her questions and she's responded via noggin. And I'm like, you gotta answer at least some of his questions out loud. Because, one, if you don't, people are gonna think y'all have problems. Well, more problems than y'all already publicly have. But also, like, fuck Dane. He hasn't done anything recently, but I every now and then just have to reiterate, fuck him.
Not in the fun way.
Yeah, not in the fun way. In the way of, he's the worst.
Or was it the daily mantras? No, affirmations.
Ray's daily affirmation. Fuck Dane.
Pop off. And I'm over here like, can Dane and Xaden just kiss already? Oh my gosh, we didn't mention that for the last chapter, but that was such a funny moment. I mean, we kind of did, but not really. We didn't really. So while they're having their cat fight, where I'm thinking in my brain, then they kiss because they're both being divas. Violet's also being a diva, but beside the point. You have the other writers that are unnamed in the room going, "Oh, this is pure entertainment." They make the comment going, "Are y'all just going to whip it out and like measure it already?"
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that comment. Yeah, I think, wasn't it Mira that made that comment?
I think she makes a comment after the fact, but I thought it was just the writers in the room who said it first. But it might have been Mira. I don't know. I just remember it was in that they're bickering like crazy, being divas, and then you have the audience, and the audience finally chimed in, going,
Yeah, literally whip it out, measure it. Like,
"Y'all just gonna measure it already?"
quit being divas to each other. Just stop. And then they kissed. One of these days, it'll happen. That's a lie. It won't happen.
Not a chance. But man,
Unless it's by accident and they like are turning a corner. They're both turning a corner really quickly and they bump into each other. I think that's like the only way it's gonna happen. So not likely. Yeah.
nobody will ever know either, because that secret would die with them. In comedic style, though, I feel like Riddick will somehow find out or somehow like see it happen.
Oh yeah. And then Reddick would tell everyone.
Beautiful. Okay, back to chapter 28. After we backtracked there, just because it popped into my brain. So yeah, you had that whole little discussion thing, and then Violet. Is this where Violet? Oh yeah, where Violet's like, I don't know anything about him. I don't know how old he is. I know nothing. And then she was like, but I know him deep down in his bones, or like I know him to his bones marrow or something. It was really weird.
I feel like finding out how old he is rather easy when you take into consideration that people are conscripted when they're 20. It was either 20 or 21. I don't remember, if I'm being completely honest. But like either way, like then he's a third year. So you add 3 on top of that, and then bada bing bada boom, you might have to add another one just given where his birthday is. We don't know. Where you can like pinpoint it to like 1 or 2 years.
Upon Googling it quickly, someone said 20. So 20. So yeah. So 20, you turn 21 sometime first year, 22, 23. Yeah.
So her whole spiel of like, I don't actually know how old he is. I'm like, it's not like he turned 27 and then got conscripted. That's not how it works. You turn 20, you get conscripted.
I know. Ready. Violet, it's not rocket science. You have a brain. Use it.
It's not rocket science. It's adding, it's simple addition. 20 plus 3 equals 23. And then given, depending on where his birthday is in the year, you might add one more.
Ready for this one? Violet was supposed to be the best of the scribes.
Okay, to be fair, maybe like words are great for her. Numbers, however, not her forte.
You're supposed to be taking dates and all this stuff. It's like time's invaluable information here.
It is valuable information. And she probably would have learned that if she went into being a scribe.
But they have physics class.
That's so true. I always forget that I always forget that they have physics.
And she's good at it. Oh.
Every now and then she says stuff and I'm like, girl, you was a brain cell.
I need to stop being mean to Violet, but it's just too easy. It's like I can't tell if this is like actually supposed to be Violet's character or the author trying to tell us something.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of clues that Rebecca Yarros has thrown into this book that I am just overlooking.
It was still the weirdest sentence from Violet and her freaking out going, I don't know anything about him. And instead of like just like I feel, but like I know him deep into like my like I feel like it used to say it's deep into my bones or something, or like to my core. I know who he is. I know like I might know all these details, but I know who they are at their core, kind of thing. But instead, it was something like I know him deep down to his marrow, but or like bones in or his marrow in his bones.
Which is an interesting way of phrasing it.
It was choice, and I was just like, okay, so why are you freaked out that you don't know his age? You know his bone marrow. Oh, and then you get a cryptid thing from I think Zayden. Oh yeah, this is where we get Zayden stalking, where he's like, "You can't know how to ruin someone without understanding them first." To Violet, and he was like, "I know everything about you since I saw you on the parapet, and I went and got everything I needed to know."
Which is creepy and also a little stalkerish.
Full blown stalker.
Like, that's creepy. And the fact that you just admitted it to her while you're being transparent with something that's creepy.
There's so many ways he could have phrased it and everything, but instead he straight up went, "Yeah, so I saw you on the parapet, and then I went and stalked the crap out of you. And just to let you know, it's because you have to know everything and understand the person you want to ruin." And I'm like, that's a little creepy and a little foreshadowy. And he says it, mind you, like really, it like mentions, he says it really quietly as a response to her. And it's just kind of like, that's a little eerie now. Oh yeah, and then this is actually where Dane shows up. Technically, is in right in the middle of that combo. Dane walks up, and they both basically glare at Dane, and I'm like, I'm sorry, it's the funniest thing out of context. So imagine there's a girl and a guy standing. I think they're like on the top of a staircase on a landing outside a door, and another person walks in there, not knowing anything going on, and he's just like, "How are you doing? You look like you're stressing there. How's it going?"
Yeah, literally just inserting himself into the conversation, and we're like, they're literally standing there like, what the fuck is he doing here?
It was the funniest thing. You have like creepy stalkery kind of combo going in, and then you just have Dane coming in like a ray of sunshine to this dark corner going, "Yo, what's up?" And they're like, "I got a rotten tomato to throw at you."
They're literally like, shut up. He's like, "Hi guys, things are great. What's going on with you?" And they're like, "Shut the fuck up. What are you doing?" It's an everyone bully Dane moment, and I really appreciate it.
It was so funny. And then finally you get Professor Markham show up, and Violet's like, "Tell me, tell me, tell me. I need to know. I need to know."
And he's like, "I can't tell you. It just happened. It's classified." She's like, "Well, if it was classified, we were already there and we already know. Tell me."
Yeah. He relents and then tells Violet. And he doesn't like, it's like he could have just said, "Your sister's fine." He could have just left it at that. Instead, he does it in a very scribe format going, "No deaths or injuries were reported of any of the writers at this location."
Like, there was damage to the place, but there were no casualties or injuries. I'm like, you could have just said, "Yeah, your sister's fine."
Literally. After he like goes through and he's like, "I can't do this," da da da. Like he's being a tight lipped and it's annoying just to then give it away in the most annoying fashion.
Yeah, he's like, "I can't say anything," and then spills all of it when he could have just given one tiny little attribute of it.
Literally. Um, and this is where Violet once again starts full blown kind of spiraling into the "I don't know Zayden. I need to ask questions." And it's kind of funny, but she also sucks at it.
I feel like she's coming up with such interesting questions for him in terms of like, you could ask all of these deep questions and you instead from across the room are like, "What's your favorite dessert?" And he's like, "Chocolate cake. Quit being weird." And like, I love that he recognizes that she's just being a fucking weirdo.
The best way to describe it is like, imagine you're in your friend group and y'all are just, I don't know, playing a video game, playing a board game, whatever you're doing. And one person just all of a sudden looks up at another friend out of nowhere and just goes, "What's your favorite food?" And then you're like, you answer and you're like, "Why did you suddenly need to know this information?" And they're just like, "Just cuz."
Just because I felt like it. I felt like knowing that information now.
And then they do that. And then they do the same thing like the next day. And you're like, "No, seriously, why?" And they're like, Yeah, because I don't like know you." And it's like, We've been friends though."
Yeah, and he's like, "You know me enough."
"What do you mean you don't know me? We're friends."
And I'm like, "But she didn't know what your favorite dessert was, so now she does."
It was such a poorly done combo. Violet literally just needed to be like, I want to get to know you better. God, she likes this man and she can't like flirt with him correctly, you know? It's a perfect flirty moment where you're just like, I just want to get to know you better, like, and you just like list off things. Like it could have been a cute moment. Instead, she's a weirdo. She's subtle and Violet don't belong in the same sentence. Not at all. And she was a scribe.
Absolutely.
Was going to be, actually, it's correction.
Yeah, she was going to be a scribe, and she does not understand the definition of subtlety.
Yeah. Also, I made this comment. I forget what was all going around. I kind of remember, but there was this like one paragraph where Violet's like, Dane's being weird, Zayden's being weird. I forget who else, but Violet's like, everyone's being weird. And I'm like, is everyone being weird or are you being weird?
Yeah, I feel like that's some self-projection there. If everyone is being weird, are you sure it's not just you being weird and projecting it onto everyone else?
I'm like, she could have had valid points. Maybe they were being like like kind of odd things going around, but it was just like, Violet, you've been weird. I can't really trust this paragraph.
She's not very nonchalant in anything that she does.
Nope. It was a paragraph, and I was just like, I can't tell which is which. It's like Violet's good at observing. This is actually correction. This is something I've seen in a decent amount of books. Is the main character observes things. They'll think about it, but they don't actually think about it. It's like you look at a person going, huh, they look different today. And you're just like, I don't know, like, we'll say, like, usually they have their favorite, I don't know, whoever favorite, like, necklace on 90% of the time, but all of a sudden they're not wearing their necklace. You're like, that's weird. And then you just move on about your day. A couple characters, like main characters do this, where they observe thing as the readers, and we're just kind of like, that's suspicious, but the main character doesn't think about it whatsoever. And I can't tell if that's one of these moments or if Violet's just weird. It's like, is she right? Is she observing things that we, as the readers, should question? Like, what's Zayden doing that's weird? What's Dane doing that's weird? Like, what's up? Or is it just Violet?
I'm pretty sure she's just the one being weird.
At this point, yeah, because she's straight up. We've seen her being weird.
Yeah, like, also, she's like, this tiny detail is weird. I'm like, girl, it's weird of you to be noticing that one tiny detail.
I feel like, mind you, this would be more like, I guess, Zayden, but we'll apply it for Violet. It's like if Violet knew Zayden's routine down to like the letter T or something, and she's like, oh, instead of going through this corridor, he went through that corridor today. It's like, why do you know this?
Violet enters her stalker era.
Wouldn't that be a thing? That'd be a sight to see, man. Stalker Violet. Wait, off topic, but on topic.
Yes.
So, Zayden's a stalker. Zayden is also kind of obsessive via his stalking.
Oh my god.
That kind of makes him a little bit of a yandere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm just saying Zayden's a tad bit yandere-ish with the stalking and obsession. Just a tad bit. So the other half of chapter 28 is where we get to the war games, which we find out is fourth wing versus first wing, which Jack's in first. And I'm going to make this comment, and Ray's going to hate me. But there's this one sentence that Violet thinks to herself. She was like, yeah, I haven't seen Jack in a while. Like for the most part, he's avoiding me and everything. Once in a while, he glares at me across like the hallway. And she goes through it. She's like, his icy, it was like his icy glacial eyes glare at me. And I'm like, that's kind of cute that you're like describing his eye color. Wow, nothing from Ray. Ray really falling apart.
Yeah, I hate him so much. Yeah, it's been such a pleasant few chapters.
And then we get another comment, which I feel like I might have made a comment about this in the past, but we get finally another Violet commenting about sleeping wrong and having to stabilize her knee, like rapid. Which also shout out to immediately after she says that, her knee is never mentioned again.
Yeah.
It's a random throwaway line that almost didn't need to even exist if you weren't going to mention it again. Like, you're going to go fly on your dragon and do all this stuff and not make a comment about your knee hurting or anything.
Yeah. Just so like, quick, by the way, I'm still in pain. Next.
Like, like suddenly like dragon does something and she's like, dag nabbit this knee or something. Like, it's just some little quip.
Yeah.
And then I had a question on here because I think Violet questions it. It was just like, why do you think writers wear black?
Yeah, which I feel like for me, like they give the answer, but like I was like, yeah, to look badass. I hadn't actually thought about like the reasoning behind it, but them being like, yeah, it's so that people can't see you bleed makes a lot of sense. But I still like because black is a badass color.
For me, I was assuming it's because it absorbs more of the sun and they're like on dragons and they fly through the air and how cold it is. That maybe it's to help keep them warm.
I like that.
And then like maybe camouflage a little bit because if it's like doing stuff late at night or anything like that, it helps if they're off their dragon. And so basically how this war game, and we end up finding out, is that the fourth wing is playing offense and defense. First wing has an egg that they need to get from them. But fourth wing also has a flag that the first wing is trying to get from them. So they have to defend the flag and also attack to get the egg.
Yeah, it's basically just a really large game of capture the flag. Egg.
Shout out to Harry Potter with dragons and eggs. Anyway, also Dane ends up, their squad gets the flag. And Violet was surprised that Xaden gave Dane's squad, her squad, the flag to protect. And Xaden's like, maybe Mira's lesson stuck. And so I was like, that's actually a good wing leader, kind of, to test another person's leadership and see if they've improved.
Yeah, which we love giving people chances. Love to see it.
And then we find out that we get a dragon saddle.
A dragon saddle. I absolutely love how sassy Taryn is whenever Dane is like, is that a saddle? And he's like, no, it's a collar. like, yeah, thanks for calling him out for noting the obvious.
Arguably, one can argue it's kind of the same thing.
Given the position of it on him, yeah, it basically is the same thing.
Mine was to once again be mean to Violet because Violet's like, this is not allowed. I'm like, Violet, shut up. You've been poisoning people.
Yeah, you want to talk about things that are not allowed? Let's talk about all of the times you poison people before competitions.
Yeah, and also sneaking and finding the little thing of telling you who you're fighting beforehand. Like, literally, it's like, we've been having this issue and you've been arguing about this issue for like a month, if not months now. Here's the solution. Violet takes the solution and goes, no, throws it out the window. And people are like, that was a solid solution. You can't say no.
So, like, we finally had a solution that could actually get you saved.
Also, I want to shout out, this is like the cutest moment, in my opinion, with Xaden and Violet, is that Xaden went out of his way to trial and error design this dragon saddle, deal with Taryn, like actually test out it, make certain it was going to be safe and usable and work with the dragon and keep Violet safe.
Yeah, I really do love his commitment to this. And not only that, but also like his like effort of putting it on Taryn and like knowing that Taryn straight up doesn't like him, but being like, it has to be done. Like, I love it. Dedication.
Actually, this makes me think even more now because I'm like, okay, so Xaden's done all this effort, got a saddle, fixed a problem, realized way previously to this that Violet has issue with her daggers because she's a lot smaller and has like all this. So he went and made her daggers that would fit her, gave them to her. What has Violet done?
Not a damn thing. Not a singular thing has she done to really deserve this, other than exist and need help.
Xaden is actually an outstanding man so far, and I'm shocked. I look at Violet, I look at Zayden, and I'm just confused. Like, I get it, but I don't get it. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah, she also argues, and she's just like, but everyone's going to find out I can't stay on my dragon. And everyone, like, stared at her. It was just like, Violet, everybody already knows.
Yeah, they already know this.
I know previously she wasn't, like, upset because she was like, everybody in my squad already knows. Like, they could see me following off. It's like, girl, people talk. And it's not like they're, like, hiding away or anything. Like, it's easy to see her, so it's gotta spread around. It's also interesting because while they're flying around and stuff, or Violet's getting strapped in, I forget, one of the two, she has a thought process because Zayden or Taryn was telling her about the saddle, and she was like, I thought something about y'all didn't want to go with leather because it's a fire hazard. And they're like, well, if you get blasted and it's metal, that's also a problem. And then Violet thinks to herself, like, why is fire a problem? Only dragons do fire. I'm like, aren't you about to have a war game with a bunch of dragons? And then I was also thinking to myself, I'm like, couldn't also other dragon riders have the fire ability and like shoot fire? So even if it wasn't a war game, you could have friendly fire accidentally hit your dragon. Then like I think it's whenever she sees Jack and Liam start fighting, but it's like I leaned forward, that way there's less wind resistance for Taryn. And it's like it reads so much as like Violet's going, yeah, I'm smart, I'm so cool, I'm doing this. That way there's less wind resistance for Taryn and we can get there quicker. And I'm just like, your dragon is how much bigger than you? I don't think you're doing so much for him as it's helping you.
Yeah.
Like, there's less wind resistance for her to have to fight with to hold on versus it actually slowing down your dragon. So, apparently I'm going to be probably titling this episode as Chilly Hates Violet.
Yeah, fair enough. That feels very accurate.
She's just making it way too easy. Like, girly, what are you doing? And then we have, of course, Liam gets stabbed in the side, and I'm like, oh, he could probably survive that. And then he starts falling, and I was like, maybe not that.
Yeah, the stab in the side, they have menders, they have healers. Now falling from the sky is a different beast to tackle.
So Liam gets saved. They, I think, pass him on to like Bree or something, and then they go to attack Jack. And then Violet, finally, we see her signet, which is lightning.
And then Taryn yells, lightning wielder! And I sit in the corner screaming and living my best life.
And I'm over here going, when I first read this book, I thought Jack got full on lightning zap. No, he got zapped near him, which caused a bunch of rocks to then fall and crush him.
I wish he got smited. That would have been so much better. So much more therapeutic.
Anyway, so Jack's dead because, as I stated, he got crushed by a bunch of rocks and blood starts leaking out. I don't think there's recovering from that. So that's pretty much the end of the chapter. Ray, what do you think says about Violet that she has lightning abilities?
It feels like, so I feel like there's two ways that I look at it where like I relate it to The Witcher, in which they're like catch lightning in a bottle, and that's the like way to that's a major sign that you can control chaos. So her signet being lightning is tying into her just being chaotic and not fully able to like separate her from her emotions.
Okay.
And then I feel like the others just like lightning's one of those things that's really powerful but really taken for granted. And how it can sort of break things in one strike, but people don't sort of take it too seriously, you know? Yeah, those are my two ways.
My thoughts, which I've shared with you before, that it's really funny that the signet ability depends on the person, and her mom controls like the weather or storms, and that she has lightning. It's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I feel like also she spends so much of this like trying to separate herself from her mom just for this, like, just for her signet to be a subsection of her mom's.
Yeah. It's like maybe she's more like her mother than she realizes.
Mhm.
My other comment was just to call her Sparky and saying that she just has that attitude. It's just it's her personality. But it's definitely interesting because her like originally was going down the scribe route and all that, that she doesn't end up with like an information ability or anything like that.
Mhm.
And so I don't know. I'm not really certain what to make of the lightning ability yet.
That's valid.
And yeah, end of questions for this chapter. Let's see. Oh, yeah, that was one question I had. I think that's what this was. I had one question about Zayden, kind of like, I think this was dealing with the reference kind of like, you need to know like your best friends because they can betray you and all that stuff from Brennan to Mira, little journal thing. And I was like, what about Zayden? Because he also makes his cryptic kind of comment and it's like stalkery and stuff. And I'm like, did he have something happen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he did. I don't think it's revealed as of at the moment.
Also, shout out to, since I reference that again, freaking Violet going, tell me something real, like your scars in your back.
Yeah, I was like, girl, the last question you asked him was about his favorite dessert. You went from dessert to tell me about the scars on your back. I don't think he's gonna do that.
It was just like, oh my gosh, can we keep with the kindergarten questions, please?
Yeah, she got a little too ballsy too fast.
Oh yeah, all my cynical questions I have about the saddle.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, they're like, yeah, so it's not really fireproof. So they're like, yeah, so if it's like burns or whatever, you might like the saddle gets like yeeted off. And it was just kind of like you started thinking about the saddle and like a lot of stuff. And she like, I guess it was weirdly described too because it's like her legs and stuff are strapped down, and there's like a pommel thing to help holders to hold on to. And I guess that puts a lot of stress still on her shoulders. So they're like, we need to work out your shoulders more.
I think the thing that struck me about the saddle is like Mira's like find a way to keep her on the saddle or like to keep her on her dragon. And they decide to go saddle route. But the saddle's not fireproof. But you know what is? Dragon scales. Bring this idea to Mira, have her like I'm sure she's been collecting more scales. Make it out of dragon scales.
That's so valid.
Like, I feel like that's the obvious answer that they just overlooked. They were like, yeah, we could do leather, we could do metal. And I'm like, those are not going to help.
Got a point there. More work needs to be done. Also, I had to, my one last little snarky remark on this is where Violet and Zayden are kind of doing a like, kiss me. No, I like, kiss me in front of everyone. No. Well,
Yeah.
And she's like remembering what Mira going kind of like, you can't like date people above your rank because you don't want them thinking that you slept your way to the top. And I'm like, what if your dragons are bounded? I don't think she has to actually sleep with him to get dragged to the top. I think the dragons will do that. Where Zayden goes, she goes.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that they have two of the strongest dragons who are mated to each other, I don't think kissing him is going to be what takes her to the top. Or kissing him, yeah. Yeah.
Him kissing her, whichever. So that was my last little remark I had on the chapter, was just kind of a like, don't want to sleep your way to the top. And it's like, I think that's irrelevant. The dragons are bounded. I'm like, if she goes to the top or he goes to the top, like the other one has to follow. It's like, keep up. Or, well, you don't really have any other options. You just have to keep up.
Yeah, that is your option.
Okay, so that's the end of this episode. That was chapters 26, 27, 25, 26, 27, 28. Next episode, we'll be going over another sport chapter segment. So it'll be, once again, 29, 20,
Nope.
29,
Yeah,
30, 31, 32.
Chilly learns to count.
That's what we titled the episode now. We're both so tired and brain dead. I'm like,
Numbers.
Numbers. Good thing I didn't say letters.
True.
So we'll be going over in the next episode 29, 30, 31, 32. I find out if my eye gets zapped again or not Tuesday. So we'll see how scheduling and editing goes.
Fingies crossed for no zapping.
No eye zapping. Getting eye lasered sucks. My eye's still a little blurry from it too. And I lose a week easily of where I can't edit or really read or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're finishing Fourth Wing this year, and then we'll prep for Iron Flame for next year and a lore special episode before that. And we'll also start getting into the Akatar series. So, woo! Until I guess next episode, I guess we'll go with Peace Out Girl Scouts still, because it's kind of funny.
Yeah, because we haven't come up with anything else.
I mean, it's kind of funny because like it's military-ish, and we're just like, peace out, Girl Scouts. Funny. I mean, we could. No.
Like, I got nothing.
Yeah, no, my brain ain't working, man. It's off. It is off. It is gone. Long gone. You know what? We can always just go with the classical bye.
Bye.